Coach, I know it was a tough loss for you guys last week, but I'll tell you what I saw, at least from what I could tell, a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought our offensive line played excellent. I mean, I thought they had a great game. You know, WES-DEL was throwing 8, 9 guys in the box, and we were still ripping off some, 10, 12, 13-yard runs. So, from a standpoint of did we get better, yes, we did. It's a tough loss. Double overtime. I mean, anytime you lose in overtime or double overtime, you got chances to win. We had been behind most of the game, not big, but we'd been down a score, and then we tie it. Then we were down another score, then we tie it. So we just went back and forth a little bit during the game, and they got the last score and we didn't.
It says a lot though about your football team that you get down and come back like that, and a lot of teams they aren't capable of doing that, but at least you can play from behind.
Well, yeah, it's not something you want to do, but it was nice to see our kids continue to battle. We got, they scored right before half, which really kind of should have been a momentum swing for them a little bit, but we didn't let that deter us. We came back and tied the game up early in the second half, and then they scored again, and we came back and tied it up. And I thought we played pretty well most of the game. A couple of things here or there that didn't go our way that hurt us in the long run, but overall much better improvement on both sides of the ball.
The overtime, and especially as you said, double overtime is a little bit difficult because you don't go through it all the time, and I don't know how much you prepare for it each and every week, but it's a little bit of a different animal, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a little different because, especially depends on if you get the ball first or if you're on defense first. It's kind of nice to know what you need. But at the same time, I mean, we've got a set of plays that are our goal line plays, or that, so those are the plays we bring out during overtime. The plays we use as extra points, the plays we use on the goal line. So, we don't necessarily practice specifically overtime situations, but we do goal line situations and things like that at different times. So, it's not a huge deal necessarily, but the thing is, you get 4 plays and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Coach, you had some outstanding individual performances too, and you mentioned your offensive line and the way they worked. But from a running back standpoint, could you have asked for a bigger day?
Well, no. I mean, that's Jeremiah had a school record, 320 yards. That's a single game record, and he was productive with those too. I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns and had a 2-point conversion for us, which was actually an 8-yard conversion because we had a 5-yard penalty on the first try, and so he had to go 8 yards, and he made it in, and so at that point that put us up in the game. But at the same, by the same token, he had an outstanding performance individually, and he did carry the ball a lot. I mean, I know from a coach's standpoint, you can't count on a kid carrying the ball 40 plus times a game. But Friday night, he was working hard. He was doing great. The linemen were blocking, and, I'm going to give it to who's getting his yards. So
it is hard not to ride that horse as long as he keeps going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had very few short runs. I mean, everything was, 4 to 8 to 15 yards. So, he ended up carrying the ball 48 times, but he averaged 6.7 yards a carry. So, he had a really outstanding night.
Not about it, Coach. Tri-Eastern Conference play coming up this week, and I mentioned to you before we started the interview, I saw some film on Tri, and I was actually kind of astounded how big some of those kids are when they played Centerville last week, but pretty good challenge for you guys again this week.
Well, yeah, it seems like, every week it seems like we're running up against some big guys, and, Tri has their share of big kids, and not all of them are lineman kids. They've got some, big linebackers, they got some big tight ends and receivers, and, they've got some kids that have some skill that are good size. So, that's something we have to be aware of this week with them is, it's not just about, their linemen or whatever. They have some good size throughout the whole team.
And they got a pretty good running back too, and that offensive line can open up some big holes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really know names, but I know number 12.
Yeah.
All I care about is number 12, and we need to keep track of where he's at on the field. They'll move him around a little bit, but most of the time he's in the backfield. But I know last week against Centerville he didn't have as big a game, but I know the first week I think he scored 4 touchdowns the first week. So, we know he's a quality kid and he's a good running back. So, we just need to keep track of where he's at first of all, and then, try to take care of everybody else after that.
And you look at their defense, it's the kind of defense, it looks like they swarm really well, get to the football pretty well too.
Well, they do. I think their linebackers play well. I mean, they run to the ball well, and they've got, like you said, they've got some decent sized kids on the front. They got one smaller defensive lineman, but he's quick, and and he may actually be a skill kid somewhere else, but like on offense. But he's on the defensive line, and he's quick and he's aggressive, and that's something that we have to account for as well, not just size but also speed. And I'm sure he's in there because he's fast. But we're facing, like I said, we face Monroe Central was big, and WES-DEL had a couple pretty good sized kids, and so far we've handled stuff pretty well. So I look forward to us still being able to handle size.